Hello everyone and welcome back to Growing with TJ. Today I want to take the time to talk about growing flowers from seed indoors. You know, in the past it took me quite a few years to start growing flowers inside. I used to always get them from the greenhouse, and when the time came I'd get them and I'd transplant them out, which is not a bad thing to do at all. I'll still do that for certain flowers that I don't start indoors. But once I started to grow my own flowers inside, it was a game changer. You know, you save a lot of money, they're easy to grow, and it's just a fulfilling feeling to grow your own flowers, transplant them out in the garden, and then see them flourish, and you see the beautiful blooms that they create. I do want to show you what I like to start my flowers in. I usually start my marigolds in this type of container, but I've kind of upgraded to this Epic Gardening 6-cell container just because it's more rigid. So I'll start them in this. I will plan to have them indoors, you know, for 4 to 5 weeks before I transplant them out. Most likely, I'll just keep them in this container. If I had to, I would pot them up into this larger 6-cell. Now for zinnias or nasturtiums, I like to start straight in this bigger 6-cell, and then take from this 6-cell, put them out into the garden. So there's different options. You know, if you start smaller and you still need more time because the temperatures aren't right, you can always up pot to a larger container. All right, guys, so I'm going to go through the different flowers and the type of varieties that I'm growing, starting them indoors. I'm not going to go into much detail about each one, maybe, a couple words here and there, but I'm going to try and keep the video a little shorter. When I go to show you how I plant them, maybe I'll mention a little bit more. Now, the number one flower that I grow inside is marigolds. Marigolds are said to deter pests, especially the French dwarf. So their scent that they give off is very strong and is supposed to deter pests from coming into your garden. So let's start with these right here. Oh, we'll go this way. So these two right here are French dwarf marigolds. So I got a mixed color here. So you got all different colors. And this is the Safari Scarlet Marigold. And again, this is very small plants or dwarf plants, but are said to deter pests the most are the French dwarf varieties. Right here is just a French marigold, and that is the Bonanza Yellow. Very beautiful yellow flower, and they grow about 8 to 12 inches tall. And these two right here are the African marigolds. This is the Crackerjack, and this is the Keys Orange. And this will get about 1.5 to 2 feet tall, and that's a very beautiful orange color. And then right here, the Crackerjack, I didn't know that they grew so tall my first year planting them, and they do get pretty big. They can get 3 to 4 feet tall, and I didn't know that. So keep that in mind if you're planting the Crackerjack, because they do grow bigger than you think. Let's come over here. This is definitely one of my favorite flowers, and I will always have it in the garden. They bloom all summer into the fall, and just beautiful blooms, and that is the Zinnia. Take that off. So right here we have a candy stripe Zinnia. It's a mix, and they'll grow about 2 feet. This is a very beautiful one here, the Royal Purple. Very beautiful flower, about 36 inches. And then these two I'm trying this year for the first time. This is a Persian Carpet Zinnia, and this is a dwarf plant. They're only going to get about 15 inches tall. And this is my free seed from Baker Creek. And then right here, I'm excited to try this one. I just love the color. This is the Queen Lime Blush Zinnia. 25 inches tall, but they have about 3-inch blooms, and they're very cool looking. Keep rolling on. This is the Dahlia. The Dahlia. This is a dwarf plant, and I planted this last couple years, and the flowers and the detail in the flowers is just incredible. So if you haven't grown any of these, I suggest trying that. They're not going to get too big on you either. Very beautiful flowers. This is the Unwin's Mixed Colors. Next one I got here is the Celosia Forest Fire. They can get a little over 2 feet tall, and they grow really well, and just a beautiful color. The red color is just stunning and really good flower to have in your garden. Lastly, we have Nasturtiums. See here, we have the Orchard Flame, and they only get about 12 inches tall, maybe 10 to 12 inches wide, but very beautiful flower, and it's a good companion plant as well. Look forward to growing that one. That's the first time growing that variety. Then right here we got the Alaska Red Shades. It's a really deep maroon, deep red color on this nasturtium. So if you haven't got any nasturtiums in your garden, I suggest you trying them out. One other flower that I planted, which I direct seed, which I just did a week and a half ago, is Borage Blue. And that is also a good companion plant to help deter pests and bring in the pollinators. You can see I already did start some of these from seed a few weeks back, and I'm going to be starting a little bit more now. So these guys are all planted on 4/1, so April 1st. So a little over 18 days ago. So you can see they grow at an okay pace. They're a nice looking size, and for that short of time period. Now for all my marigolds, I like to start in this 6-inch container. You can use this as well. I kind of upgraded to these Epic Gardening 6 cells because they're more rigid. Now, I plan to start hardening these off in about 2 weeks and get them out into the garden. If the temperatures aren't quite right or they're getting a little root bound, I will upgrade to, or up pot them to a larger 6-cell container like this. And then they can go into the garden. So starting in these smaller 6 cells, you get more started, and if you got to up pot them, you can. For my zinnias, nasturtiums, I like to start them in the bigger 6-cell to start off, and then again, if I have to up pot them because I don't have, they're running out of space, or the temperatures aren't right outside, then I will have to go up to a bigger container. But usually they go right out in the container that they started, because I don't have to keep them inside too long. I wait to start them so that I know the temperatures are going to be right to get them right into the garden. So here you can see these are all my marigolds. I actually do have a dahlia right here, which need to be up potted. I started these in the smaller container, which was not what I normally do. You can see the roots are just going crazy, but because they have these slits and they can air prune, they're doing okay. So I definitely got to up pot these dahlia, and the rest of these here are all marigolds. The French Dwarf, what do we got here? The Keys Orange, Bonanza. You can see this one right here I dropped, and I lost 4 of them, so that's unfortunate. But I may end up potting these up. Looking at the roots, these guys are looking pretty good, but they have more space to grow because they can grow out the side of the slits. So just keep an eye on them. If they start getting root bound, then you want to up pot them, and if you have to, you have to. That's not a big deal. Bring in these over here. These are my zinnias. We got the purple, the Queen Lime, candy stripe right here, another purple, and then these are the nasturtiums over here. You can see they grow pretty tall, and they got plenty of space in this 6-cell. So that's what I got started right now. This is 72 cells of marigolds, and right here we got 6 cells, and we got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 36 of these plants. So I definitely want to get some more zinnias started, a couple more nasturtiums, and want to get some more marigolds started. All right, guys, so I'm going to quickly show you how I fill up my 6 cells with the soil, and then we'll get right into planting the actual seeds. As you can see here, I've been using Happy Frog for all my seed starts, and I've been very pleased with the quality of the soil. I mean, I still have to sift through to get all the big pieces out. There just seems like there's not as many big pieces as other brands that I've tried before. So we'll get that out of the way. We'll grab our 6-cell. You do want to pre-moisten your soil a little bit, and then I'll just simply fill them all up. I fill them loosely, almost to the top. Give it a little shake, and then I will spill some, but then I will do that a few times just to work the soil the whole way down to the bottom. Then I'll just simply come back on top and fill it in the rest of the way. Pat it down a little bit. Give it a little shake. And that's it. That's all it takes. Very quick to fill up these little 6-cell containers. So now let's get into planting some seeds. Okay, so I'm going to pull you in here a little closer. Now, I'm not going to plant every variety that I just talked about, but I will plant probably one of each just to let you see how it goes. Now, very important, these 3 right here, the Marigolds, the Zinnias, then also the Celosia, they all need light to germinate. So it's very important that you only plant these 1/8 inch deep and that you get them under your grow lights or somewhere where they're going to get some light so that they germinate. I am going to plant the French marigolds because I lost a few when I dropped the container. And I don't know if you can see that, but the marigold seed is very interesting. They have like a kind of loose white top right there, and then a long black, and then there's a little white tip again. Now, interesting thing about marigolds, there's really no top or bottom to the seed. So what I like to do is just put them right here, lay them down flat, horizontally, and I'll put one in each one. Looks like I got just the perfect amount of seeds. Just like that. So it might be hard to see, but they're just laying flat. Then I will push them down just a little bit, not much. Then I'll just cover it up just a little bit, very lightly. Just lightly cover it up. So just like that. I'm not putting a lot of soil in there, just a little bit. And always like to give it a little spritz after you put the seed in. Kind of the same thing in, you put your seeds, plant them outdoors, you're going to water them in. You want to do the same thing when you're doing them indoors as well. So there you go. There's the French dwarf marigold planted. Very easy, simple. Just got to remember that it needs light to germinate. You don't want to cover it up too much. And I like to lay them down horizontally or lay them flat on the soil. The Zinnias and Celosias also need light to germinate. So they're going to be about planted the same 1/8 inch deep because they need the light to germinate and you don't want to cover them up very much. Figured I would give you a little close-up of the marigold seed. It's pretty unique. So that is what they look like right there. And like I said, there's no really top or bottom, and I just lay them flat, push them in a little bit, and then lightly cover them with soil. Okay guys, I got my larger 6-cell filled up. You do it the same way. You're just going to have a little bit more soil. Now I'm going to be planting 2 Dahlia, 2 Orchard Flame Nasturtium, and 2 Alaska Red Shade Nasturtium. So as always, you want to make sure you have your tag, which I didn't put one in on the last 6-cell I did, but they were all the same variety, so it's not a big deal. Now Nasturtiums, you want to plant them about a 1/2 inch deep, and they do not need light to germinate. So let's get our Orchard Flame right here. Show you what these seeds look like. They're pretty big seeds, so you know, it could come to that point where I do need to pot them up, but so I'll just simply, for these, since they're so big, I'll just put them right there on top of the soil, just like that. And then I'll just take some type of, you know, pencil or something, and then I will just push it down about a ½ inch deep. That's it. Put my tag in, and then cover it up. Now we got the Alaska red shade, and you're going to do the same thing. Just doing one seed. I've always had good germination with Nasturtiums. Push it down about a ½ inch deep. That's it. And then you cover it up. Now the Dahlia, I'll show you what they look like. You're only going to plant these guys a ½ inch deep. So that is what they look like. And again, I honestly do not know if there's a top or bottom on these, but I just simply lay them down the same way I do the Marigolds. And when I push them in, they're, you know, one might go to the bottom, might go to the top. I always have good germination, so I don't worry too much about that. They always pop up. So there's the Dahlia. Put in your little tag, little spritz of water. Now you got 6 flowers planted. Very easy process, and it can go quick if you're using, you know, these type of containers that don't take much to fill up. So when you plant your seeds in about 18 days or so, this is what you're going to have for the marigolds. And the Dahlia is right there. You can see it is a little bit larger than the marigolds, and that's why I should have put that in a larger container, but I will pot that in, you know, next week or so. But that is what they look like. One thing I want to mention is you see those black dots on the marigolds. You might see them, and that's just, you know, some of them get those black dots. That's the variety they are, and it's nothing to worry about. You can see back there, that marigold doesn't have any black dots. So 18 days, so they grow decently quick, and they all are looking really good. I really hope this video will encourage you to start growing your own flowers inside, to be able to transplant them out into the garden. There's no better feeling. 4 varieties that I absolutely would encourage you to grow is the Marigold. Beautiful flower, can help deter pests. A lot of different varieties. The Zinnia, I absolutely suggest growing that. It's a beautiful flower, and so many varieties, and the blooms are just incredible, and they go from fall or spring, summer to fall. You're just gonna have blooms nonstop. Nasturtium, another good companion plant, can help deter pests, and a beautiful flower, so you can't beat that. And then the Dahlia, I really like this one because it stays rather compact, but it has just beautiful, beautiful blooms, and you're gonna love seeing them in your garden. And all these are gonna bring pollinators in, and they can help deter pests. So that is a win-win in our book. So I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're going to start some flowers inside either this year or next year. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe. I'll see you next time out in the garden. Happy growing.